This class is concerned with search engines and the importance of search within the context of the internet, and more specifically within the context of the use of the internet for business purposes. So first of all, there's a lot of information that's available online, but not all of the information that's online is completely accurate. So it's necessary for the searcher to be able to find a good wide quantity of information and then be able to assess it for its accuracy. So the searcher looks for a wide set of references regarding the search that he or she has just entered, and then tries to sort out what is fact and perhaps what is fiction. Web page addresses are also constantly changing, and some websites may only be available for a short space of time. So the act of searching is ongoing. The fact that someone finds a very useful website today doesn't mean that that site will be available tomorrow. So sites are constantly being taken down and put up, and the names are being changed, and so it's an ongoing process. The search process is ongoing in the context of the internet. Around 1990, before the World Wide Web, some developers, Alan Emtage, for example, created Archie, the first search tool for finding files on FTP sites. FTP is File Transfer Protocol, particular types of site. So the need for some sort of assistance, a search engine, was recognized way back, right at the very start of the internet. It was felt that people using the internet should have some assistance in trying to help them locate the information that they were looking for. In 1993, Veronica was developed, then Jughead, which wasn't used a lot, and Wondex. And so different names, perhaps names we're not familiar with today, were important right back at the start of the internet. These names were used by researchers back then, by the users of the internet, albeit a very primitive internet, but nonetheless, people back at that time wanted any assistance they could get to try and locate the information that they were looking for. And there were various efforts at designing and developing search engines. Web crawler became quite a popular one, but also Yahoo and Lycos. So many different search engines were coming into existence and establishing themselves as reputable and helpful, and they became popular. After 1995, we're getting into the era of names we're starting to recognize, like Excite, InfoSeek, AltaVista, and as I said earlier, Metacrawler. We had WebCrawler in the 1994, but Metacrawler came in around 1995. So we're starting to see names that we are vaguely familiar with, names that crop up in the literature even today and often are referred to in the context of this type of literature on search engines and on the development of the website, or of the internet, I should say. Sorry. Obviously, the ones we're most familiar with today would be Bing and Google. But there are others, and depends really what we're looking for. There are specialist ones. But in terms of general search, Bing, Microsoft's creation, and Google, Google now being one of the most successful companies in the world. These two have established themselves as the really important search engines, the most powerful there is and the most useful. And the nice thing about them, of course, is that they're free to use. Although we do have to tolerate advertisements on the pages and so on. But nonetheless, we do find the information that we're looking for, and it comes up fairly fast. We also have this idea of directories. A web directory or web guide is a hierarchical presentation of hyperlinks. When we do a search, if we're doing a search for a particular type of motor car, for example, it might bring up many links related to that particular car, perhaps going right back to the start or issues surrounding the car, whatever. So generally speaking, the search engines don't just bring up one link, they bring up many links and organize the links in some hierarchical fashion. The top level is typically a wide range of very general topics. So when we do a search, if we just do a search for a particular car, let's say a Ford Mondeo car, then the search runs that we're searching for cars. Having found cars, it will look for Ford cars made by the Ford Motor Company. So now we've got cars, Ford, and when we found that, it'll look for the types of cars that Ford makes, so it'll go through Fiestas and so on, and it'll bring up Mondeo, which is what we're searching for. So we have this idea of top level search and detailed search, top level being the widest category. And each topic contains hyperlinks of more specialized subtopics. So in the example I just given you, we would have the top level being just hyperlinks related to cars. The next one would be those hyperlinks with an addition, Ford cars. And then following up again, hyperlinks with an even more refined search, which would say Ford cars, Mondeo. Generally speaking, that methodology is very easy to follow. It's very easy to understand. We're going from the top level down to something we're very interested in, some search we're very interested in. So we have hierarchical representation. Let's say we have vehicles, that's the widest one. Then within vehicles we have lorries, cars and so on. Now we have vehicles / cars. So within the set of vehicles we have the subset cars. And within cars we have the subset Ford. We also have Toyota, Mazda, Mercedes and so on. But in our case, let's say we're looking for Ford, so we have the widest set, which is vehicles, the subset cars. Now there's a subset Ford. And then once we've found Ford, we do a search for the types of cars Ford make, and we find Mondeo. And we can carry on. Mondeo diesel. We could carry on again. Vehicles, cars, Ford, Mondeo, diesel, / with sat-nav built in, or with automatic transmission, or manual transmission, or whatever. So we can carry on refining the search until we've been very, very specific. Now, popular search engines, well, as I said earlier, Google is probably the most popular. And Google has been instrumental in making the Google company one of the largest companies in the world. We also have Bing, and I suppose from an economics perspective, it's always good to have competition. So those two are fighting it out as the two leaders in the market. Yahoo has been around for a long time and is very well established and has got a good reputation, and it's a good search engine. But Yahoo offer a lot of services on their site, from excellent information about the financial markets to it's like a portal, an old-fashioned portal. It contains information on particular sectors. AOL, America Online, they've got a search facility which is also quite good. Like Us, been around for a long time and still may be used. So a search engine is a computer program that does the following. It allows users to submit a query that contains a word or a phrase. So a search engine just enables us in a little box to type in what we're interested in. And nowadays it's very sophisticated. The little box looks at certain words and ignores them. So if I typed in that I want to find Ford and Mondeo, it will, the chances are, ignore the and. It's just looking for Ford Mondeo. So the search facility has become very, very sophisticated. But essentially what it does is it searches the database. It looks up a database to see what's there, a database of links. It returns a list of suitable URLs which match the query. So having performed the search engine brings back a list of URLs, these resource locators. So it brings back these broadest resource locators, and that helps us to find what we're looking for. It allows the user to revisit and resubmit. So having performed the search, it's possible to modify the search and do it again. So bringing back different results or modifying what they're looking for. So search engines are very useful tools in collating information, collecting the information, and I suppose engaging in research, which could be academic or business or even personal research. And that's an introduction to how search engines work. This is part one. There are several parts to this particular class going deeper into the topic, but this is a good starting point. This is where we kick off our discussion of search engines. But that's all I'm going to do on this session, so I'm going to leave it there. This is the end of part one, and thank you for watching.